Built for Wealth. How the Rich Think, Decide, and Win. Written and published by Mindset Masters Audiobooks. Part 1. The foundation of wealth starts in the mind. Wealth is not built in the stock market, in your business, or even in your bank account. It's built in your mind. Every decision, every move, every opportunity either flows toward you or away from you, based on how you think. This is the fundamental truth the rich know and embody. Wealth begins internally long before it manifests externally. Let's build that foundation today. The myth of external success. Most people chase wealth as if it's hiding somewhere out there in a job, a big deal, a lucky break. They think if they just work harder, save more, or finally get that one opportunity, they'll be rich. But the truth is, no amount of effort can outwork a poor mindset. You see it all the time. People win the lottery and go broke in 2 years. Athletes make millions, but retire broke. Celebrities rise fast and fall even faster. Why? Because they never built the mental infrastructure to sustain wealth. The rich think differently. They don't hope to be rich, they expect it. They don't chase money, they attract it. That difference lies in mindset, not mechanics. The first principle: wealth is a result, not a goal. The wealthy understand this one principle. Money is a result, not a primary goal. When your identity is centered around becoming the type of person who creates value, solves problems, makes decisions with precision, and controls your emotions, money follows. Chasing wealth as a goal creates stress, scarcity, and reactive behavior. But building your internal world, mindset, systems, mental habits, leads to predictable and sustainable success. Ask yourself, do I see money as a reflection of value I create? Do I react emotionally to financial pressure or think strategically? Am I chasing wealth or becoming someone who naturally attracts it? The moment you switch from chasing to becoming, you shift into the mindset of the rich, the operating system of the wealthy. The operating system of the wealthy. The wealthy operate on a different mental OS. And it's not just about thinking positively, it's about running mental programs that optimize performance, limit distraction, and create leverage. Here are a few default settings in the mind of the wealthy. Clarity over chaos. They know what they want and why. Everything else is not. Decision over delay. The wealthy decide fast and course correct later. They trust their thinking. Ownership over blame. No one owes them anything. They own outcomes, good or bad. Control over emotion. Wealthy minds don't make financial decisions based on fear, anger, or ego. They calculate, then act. Long-term over short-term. They play the infinite game. While others chase this month's income, they're building generational assets. Rewiring how you think about wealth. Your beliefs about wealth were not chosen. They were installed. Childhood lessons, societal programming, cultural expectations, all have shaped your subconscious rules about money. If you believe money is scarce, rich people are greedy, success takes luck, you don't deserve abundance, then your actions will subconsciously align to keep you broke, no matter how hard you work. But you can change that. Today begins your rewiring process. Start by challenging your money narratives. Ella, when you think I can't afford that, switch to how can I afford that? When you feel envy toward wealth, replace it with curiosity and modeling. When you fear failure, ask, what skill will I gain if I try? The rich don't operate on limiting beliefs. They operate on empowering systems of thought. So must you. Here are 5 immediate ways to shift into a wealth-building mindset. Elatsai. Track your thoughts, like you track your spending. Start noticing every time you think about money. Is it scarcity-based? Is it reactive? Write it down. You can't change what you don't observe. Use identity-based affirmations. Replaced I want to be rich with I am the kind of person who creates wealth through value, clarity, and discipline. Your programming identity, not just outcome. Eliminate financial victim language. Stop saying they didn't pay me enough or the economy is killing me. Start saying, I'm responsible for what I earn and how I grow it. Study wealthy decision-making. Read biographies. Listen to financial podcasts. Watch how wealthy people make strategic decisions. Emulate the mental models, not just the money moves. Set legacy goals, not lifestyle goals. Don't just aim to buy a nicer car. Aim to create a system that generates income whether you work or not. The rich build machines, not paychecks. The shift begins now. You weren't born thinking like the rich, but you can train yourself to do it daily. Every time you pause, reframe and respond with intention instead of reaction, you upgrade your wealth operating system. You don't need to wait for more money to become wealthy. You need to think like someone who already is. When the mind leads, results follow. Let this be your beginning. You are built for wealth. Let's keep building. Part 2. Decisions create wealth. Hesitation destroys it. Wealth doesn't come from just working hard. It comes from making the right decisions consistently over time. The rich don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't second-guess themselves into paralysis. They decide, and let those decisions compound. If your mind is filled with doubt, fear, or confusion, you won't make bold financial moves. And wealth only comes to those bold enough to take intentional, calculated risks. This is where average people lose in the delay. The speed of decision-making. Here's something few people understand. Wealthy people make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Poor thinkers do the opposite. They take forever to decide and change their minds every time they feel uncertain. Why does speed matter? Because indecision kills momentum. Let's take two people, Geffers. One takes 60 days to decide whether to start a business. The other makes the decision in a day, starts taking action, fails, pivots, and learns. By the end of 60 days, the second person has built momentum, insight, and confidence. While the first is still battling internal dialogue. That's not a personality trait, it's a habit. A practiced skill. One you can build. The rich decide with a framework. Wealthy people don't make impulsive decisions, they just have systems for thinking. They've trained themselves to run choices through mental models like ROI thinking. Will this return time, energy, money, or peace in the long term? Upside over comfort. Is this just uncomfortable now or truly unwise? They pre-train their minds to move fast under pressure. This is why they win. Confidence is a decision, not a trait. A common myth is that rich people are more confident because they have money. It's actually the opposite. They became rich because they acted with confidence first. Confidence is the decision to believe that you'll figure it out. You can recover from mistakes. You'll bet on yourself when others won't. That kind of confidence doesn't come from external validation. It comes from making decisions and honoring them. Every time you act decisively and follow through, you build trust with yourself, and that trust is the foundation of true confidence. Action beats overthinking every time. Most people lose money not because they don't have the knowledge, but because they freeze when it's time to act. They know they should start the business, invest in themselves, cut expenses, take a leap of faith. But instead they ask 5 people for permission. They read 10 more articles. They wait until it feels right. The rich don't wait. They assess, decide, and move. Action is how they think. Speed is their advantage. If you find yourself stuck in loops of hesitation, ask yourself, what decision am I avoiding? What would I do if I trusted myself fully? Who am I becoming by avoiding this decision? Every moment you delay, you reinforce powerlessness, but every small action reinforces clarity. Mastering small financial decisions. We often think of wealth decisions as big real estate, stocks, businesses, but the habits that build wealth start in everyday choices. Do you buy out of emotion or strategy? Do you invest in your future or spend to feel better now? Do you delay uncomfortable calls or face them immediately? The way you manage $10 is how you'll manage $10,000. And if you can't manage $10,000, you'll never hold. The rich treat small decisions like they matter, because they know small hinges swing big doors. Action steps build wealth through decisiveness. Here are 5 ways to train your decision-making like the rich. Use time limits. For non-life-threatening decisions, set a deadline. I will decide on this investment by Friday at 5 p.m. Don't wait to feel ready. Act on logic and purpose. Make one bold financial move this week. It could be starting that savings plan, setting up a business idea, hiring a coach, or finally saying no to an expense you don't need. Prove to yourself you can act fast. Got this. Journal your decision wins. Write down every decision you made and what it created. This builds confidence. Even failures show that you can act and learn. Ask the future you question. If I were already successful, wealthy, and calm, how would I decide? That mindset shift gives you clarity. Remove permission seeking. Stop asking people who haven't built what you want for advice. Ask yourself, then move. That's how leaders think. Decide like your life depends on it. Because it does. Every financial breakthrough begins with a decision. You don't need a new opportunity. You need a new operating rhythm. One that prioritizes decisive action over passive analysis. The rich move different. They decide different. And that's why they live different. You're not behind. You're just one decision away from momentum. You are built for wealth. And that starts with how you choose. Part 3. Thinking bigger. Why the rich don't play small. Most people don't fail because they aim too high and miss. They fail because they aim too low and hit. The wealthiest fives don't think in terms of what they can afford today. They think in terms of what's possible. They train themselves to think bigger. Not just about money, but about time, freedom, impact, and legacy. This part isn't about motivation. It's about mental architecture, the actual shape and scale of your thoughts. Rich thinking expands beyond limitations, while poor thinking adapts to them. To build wealth, you must escape the gravity of small goals. Why thinking small is expensive. Playing small may feel safe, but it's incredibly costly. You undercharge for your skills. You accept average returns on your time. You plan for survival, not success. You create a life that's manageable, not magnetic. Thinking small locks you into the cycle of trading time for money. You focus on how to save $5 instead of learning how to make $5,000. You avoid discomfort, risk, and scale. And in doing so, you build a ceiling over your life. But the rich think differently. How can I 10x this? How can I scale, multiply, compound? Not just earn. Scarcity versus expansion thinking. At the root of wealth is mindset. Here's how the two models work. Scarcity thinking, expansion thinking. I can't afford that. How can I create the income for that? That's not realistic for someone like me. Someone's doing it, why not me? I don't want to risk losing. What's the long-term cost of staying here? I need more certainty first. Clarity comes through motion. The rich don't wait to believe they're worthy of big opportunities. They step into them anyway. They understand that the mind adapts to the level of the game you force yourself to play. Environment shapes thought. You cannot build a millionaire mindset while sitting in a room built for mediocrity. If everyone around you thinks small, complains about money, or plays it safe, that energy becomes your mental standard. Rich thinkers curate environments that expand their imagination. They read books that challenge their limits. They listen to people operating at higher financial frequencies. They pay for rooms and mentors that force them to elevate. You don't need to leave everyone behind, but you do need to protect your mental space like your wealth depends on it, because it does. Vision is a wealth skill. One trait nearly every wealthy person shares is a clear, compelling vision for their life. Not just vague desires like more money or less stress, but vivid, measurable, non-negotiable outcomes. I want to wake up every day with full location and time freedom. This clarity drives decisions, filters distractions, and increases resilience. Most importantly, it forces your mind to expand beyond your current reality. If your vision doesn't stretch you, it won't change you. The problem with realistic goals. Realism is often just disguised fear. When people tell you to be more realistic, what they usually mean is, stay within what's comfortable for me to witness. But wealth doesn't live in the comfort zone. Here's the truth. Day one, no one changed their life by being practical. No one got rich by thinking incrementally. No one disrupted their family legacy by coloring inside the lines. Realistic keeps you broke. Delusional with discipline builds empire. You have to be willing to dream so big it scares small thinkers. Then show up daily with action big enough to match it. Action steps to think bigger and build bigger. Here are 5 ways to expand your thinking and your wealth. Audit your mental ceiling. Ask yourself, where in my life am I aiming small to feel safe? Write those down, then write a 10-day version of each goal. Keep both visible to see the gap you're closing. Elevate your financial vocabulary. Learn terms the wealthy use. Leverage, cash flow, compound growth, asset classes. Language expands reality. What you name, you can control. Describe your future life in vivid, emotional, and measurable terms. Read it every morning for 30 days. Get in bigger rooms. Join a mastermind. Attend a high-level event, or hire a coach. You'll absorb new thinking by exposure, not just effort. Practice expansion thinking daily. Anytime you catch yourself saying, I can't, reframe it. How can I? This tiny shift opens the door to possibility, and wealth flows through open doors. You are the ceiling and the breakthrough. There is no external limit holding you back. There is only the internal glass ceiling of your thoughts. The wealthy didn't wait to think bigger once they had money. They thought bigger first, and money came to match that frequency. You don't need to figure out the whole how. Just stop shrinking your what. Stretch your mind. Expand your questions. Build a future that doesn't fit into small goals. You were never meant to play small. You were built for wealth, and your thinking must rise to meet that. Part 4. Decisiveness. Why the wealthy move fast and with purpose. If you study the most successful people, you'll notice something powerful. They make decisions quickly and rarely look back. The wealthy don't sit around waiting for perfect information or emotional certainty. They gather what they need, align it with their vision, and move. In contrast, most people stay stuck in perpetual indecision, waiting for clarity to magically arrive. But clarity is not something you wait for, it's something you create through committed action. In this part we explore the wealth-building skill of decisiveness, not rashness or gambling, but strategic speed fueled by conviction. Indecision is expensive, hesitation kills momentum, and in the world of wealth, momentum is everything. When you hesitate, you miss opportunities while others act. You pay the price of inaction, which is often higher than failure. You stay stuck in analysis mode while your confidence erodes. Here's the truth. The wealthy fear stagnation more than mistakes. They know you can pivot from a wrong turn, but you can't recover from a journey never started. Wealth isn't built by knowing every answer. It's built by making one bold decision after another and learning quickly along the way. The 3 traits of wealth-building decisions. Every decision carries weight. Here's how the rich approach theirs. 8th, speed over perfection. They don't waste time over optimizing minor details. Instead, they focus on the 20% of decisions that drive 80% of results. Fast beats flawless. Vision-led choices. Every decision is filtered through their ultimate vision. If it doesn't serve the mission, it's a no, regardless of how exciting, urgent, or profitable it looks. Commitment after choosing. Once a decision is made, wealthy minds commit fully. They don't waver. They make the decision right through follow-through. Poor thinkers delay. Wealthy thinkers decide. Then they make that decision profitable by taking relentless action. When you live in maybe, you say yes to things that don't align. You delay moves that could shift your entire life. You train your brain to distrust itself. Maybe is often fear in disguise. The fear of failure, rejection, judgment, or discomfort. But here's the truth. Decisiveness is not about confidence. It's about courage. You don't need to feel 100% ready. You just need to trust that you can figure it out as you go. Confidence is a result, not a requirement. Why the rich move fast. Fast decision-making doesn't mean carelessness. It means clarity in motion. Here's why speed matters. They dissect. Opportunities have windows. They close. The rich move quickly because they understand timing is often more important than technique. Action breeds momentum. Once you commit, energy builds, doors open, people respond, luck finds you moving. Speed is leverage. The faster you implement, the more feedback you receive. The faster you adjust, the more ground you gain while others are thinking. Indecision is a form of self-sabotage. Action is the cure. Mental models for decisive thinking. Wealthy thinkers use frameworks to reduce overthinking. Try these. Day dissect. The 10-10-10 rule. Will this decision matter in 10 minutes? 10 months? 10 years? This helps you zoom out of emotions and act with perspective. Opportunity cost thinking. What will it cost me not to decide now? This flips your mindset from fear to cost awareness. Reversible versus irreversible. If it's reversible, decide fast. Most choices can be tweaked. Reserve caution for major, permanent moves. These tools help the rich stay agile, proactive, and in forward motion, exactly where wealth is built. Day 10. Train your decision muscle. Decisiveness isn't a personality trait, it's a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger and faster it becomes. Start with small things. Day 10. Choose your next action immediately. Say no to what doesn't align without guilt. Decide your goals for the week and stick to them. The more you train fast, intentional decisions, the more your mind adapts to operate like the wealth. You shift from reacting to directing your life. Day 10. Action steps to build decisive wealth thinking. Day key. Create a decision filter. List your top 3 priorities or values. When faced with choices, run them through this lens. If it doesn't match, it's a no. Implement a 24-hour rule. Don't sit on decisions longer than 24 hours, unless they are life-changing. Decide and act, even if it's a small next step. Track decisions made weekly. Measure progress not just by tasks completed, but by meaningful decisions made. This will rewire your brain to seek clarity and motion. Date reflect, but don't ruminate. After making a decision, reflect briefly on the outcome. Learn and move forward. Avoid looping on what if. Adopt the identity of a decider. Every day, remind yourself, I am someone who decides quickly, acts intentionally, and trusts my ability to adjust. Wealth doesn't wait, neither should you. You don't need to get every decision right. You just need to make enough bold, aligned decisions, faster than most people are willing to. That's how momentum builds. That's how wealth compounds. Inaction keeps you in the same loop. Decision moves you to the next level. Start small. Move fast. Decide boldly. You're not here to hesitate. You're built for wealth. And decisive minds build empires. Part 5. Strategic patience. How the rich master time without wasting it. If the wealthy move fast in decision-making, they also understand this paradox. Wealth creation takes time, but time must be mastered. The average person either moves too slow or too impatiently. They waste months overthinking small steps. Or worse, give up when results don't arrive instantly. But the rich think differently. They don't just work with time. They work ahead of time. They think long-term, act in the short term, and detach from immediate validation. This is the art of strategic patience, staying grounded in urgency without becoming addicted to speed. The long game mentality. Most people are playing a short game. Quick profits, instant gratification, fast wins with minimal effort. But the wealthy know that true wealth, financial, mental, emotional, generational, doesn't arrive overnight. It builds through days. Smart moves repeated consistently. Strategic sacrifices made intentionally. Systems and assets that compound over time. They aren't seduced by shortcuts. They're committed to sustainable success and willing to delay gratification in pursuit of something greater. Patience doesn't mean waiting. Strategic patience is not sitting around hoping things improve. It's working consistently while knowing the rewards may not come today. The wealthy take daily action with long-term convictions. Stick to routines even when results lag. Focus on process over praise. Trust the system they built, not the speed of external outcomes. They aren't chasing dopamine hits. They're building dynasties. Why impatience is a wealth killer. Impatience leads to quitting too early, jumping from one idea to another, making emotional decisions during slow seasons, undermining compounding efforts with constant change. Wealth requires stability, and impatience is instability disguised as drive. Here's the hard truth. If you can't stay consistent without applause, you'll never reach elite levels. The rich keep showing up, even when no one's watching. Strategic patience versus passive patience. Let's break it down. Passive patience. Strategic patience. Waiting and hoping, working and trusting, reacting to outcomes, committing to process, seeking fast validation, playing for long-term value, avoiding discomfort, embracing delayed reward. The rich aren't waiting for time to save them. They're using time as a multiplier on their ideas, their habits, and their wealth. Compounding, the silent engine of wealth. If there's one principle every wealthy person deeply understands, it's compound growth. This applies to money, investments, business returns, habits, discipline, health, focus, knowledge, skill mastery, insight development, reputation, relationships, trust, influence. Compounding looks boring in the beginning. Slow progress, invisible results. But over time it explodes in value. The poor give up at stage 1. The wealthy endure until stage 10, where the magic happens. They don't just have patience. They have faith in the math of consistency. Train your strategic patience. You can build this powerful mindset. It's a practice, not a personality trait. Here's how. Create a long-term wealth vision. Know what you're building, not just what you want now. Think in decades, not days. Anchor yourself to purpose, not urgency. Measure inputs, not just outcomes. Track what you control, daily actions, smart decisions, not just what's external. Income, follow account, approval. Celebrate boring consistency. Learn to fall in love with small daily wins. Wealthy people admire routine. Consistency is sexy to them because it works. Resist the shiny object. Stay with what's working. Most people jump to new opportunities every few months. The rich stay the course until the results scale. Zoom out often. Reflect monthly or quarterly, not daily. Perspective protects patience. Don't evaluate progress too soon. What habits today will save me 100 hours next year? What can I invest in now that pays me for life? They aren't living in urgency. They're living in design. They use every hour to build something bigger than themselves, not just to survive. The action steps for practicing strategic patience. Pick one wealth-building action to commit to for 12 months. Whether it's investing, content creation, a side business, or skill development, don't switch. Go deep. Track weekly progress on inputs. Did you show up? Did you improve? Did you build? This data matters more than instant rewards. Write your why-wait statement. Define the legacy or long-term freedom you're building. Let it speak louder than your short-term craving. Set time-delayed rewards. Give yourself something meaningful only if you complete 90 or 180 days of consistent work. This trains delayed gratification. Wealth is built in the quiet seasons. When it feels slow, you're actually building momentum. When it looks boring, the foundation is being poured. The rich don't chase the highs. They build through the lows. You must master both decisive speed and strategic patience. Move fast when clarity comes. Hold steady when progress is slow, because time doesn't determine your wealth. Your relationship with time does. Stay focused. Stay steady. You're not falling behind. You're compounding forward. You're built for wealth, and every moment is working in your favor. Part 6. Ruthless clarity. How the rich eliminate noise to multiply results. The difference between a scattered life and a successful one often comes down to a single word: clarity. The rich don't live in confusion. They don't wake up guessing. They operate from ruthless clarity on who they are, what they want, and what truly matters. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they drown in distraction. The wealthy cut the noise. They focus their mind like a laser, not a flashlight. Why clarity is a superpower. Clarity is the most underrated asset in the pursuit of wealth. When you know exactly what you want, decisions get easier, focus sharpens, energy becomes powerful, time gets invested wisely, distractions lose their grip. The rich know that confusion costs money. Every moment spent second-guessing is a moment stolen from momentum. How most people live. The fog. Imagine walking through fog without a map. That's how most people approach life. They chase too many goals at once. Say yes to everything. Follow the crowd. Get pulled in by trends, not anchored by truth. Start over every time something gets hard. The result? Exhaustion, mediocrity, resentment. They mistake busyness for progress. They collect strategies, but never commit to mastery. Their clarity isn't found, it's built. The rich don't wait for perfect clarity to appear. They build it by asking better questions and making sharper decisions. They ask, Eric, what am I really trying to build? What problem am I uniquely positioned to solve? Eric, what's the one thing that matters most this season? What distractions am I tolerating that dilute my power? They zoom out, strip away the fluff, and choose with intention. They don't do more. They do what matters most. Eliminate, to dominate. Success isn't about doing everything. It's about removing what doesn't matter and doubling down on what does. The rich say no more than they say yes. Delegate ruthlessly. Build systems that reduce decisions. Unsubscribe from noise. Mentally and digitally. Cut emotional clutter. Toxic people. Dead goals. Shallow opinions. They don't fear missing out. They fear misalignment. Clear vision creates compounding power. With clarity, everything compounds faster. Eric, your brand becomes faster. Your offer becomes irresistible. Your team becomes aligned. Your audience becomes loyal. Your confidence becomes magnetic. Clarity amplifies results because energy is no longer scattered. You go deep, not wide. You build equity, not just activity. The wealthy focus on identity before strategy. Most people ask, Eric, what should I do? The rich ask, Asar, what should I do? The rich ask, Asarity, who must I become? They start with identity, not tactics. Once you know who you are, your values filter decisions, your purpose drives your priorities, your standards rise automatically. That's when you stop chasing and start attracting. Clarity is ruthless because it requires sacrifice. Let's be honest. Clarity demands you walk away from things that no longer fit your vision. That means cutting income streams that drain your focus, leaving relationships that lower your frequency, letting go of goals that were based on ego, not alignment, walking alone when the crowd isn't going where you're headed. Clarity is uncomfortable, but powerful. It prunes the good to make space for the great. Eric, build your wealth clarity. Here's how to get sharper. Starting today. 1. Define your personal wealth code. What does wealth actually mean to you? Freedom? Impact? Legacy? Know it. Own it. Set a 3-year focus theme. What's the dominant project, mission, or identity you're building for the next 36 months? Anchor everything to this. 3. Ruthlessly edit your commitments. Every week ask, what am I doing that no longer serves my highest direction? Then cut it. 4. Clarify your filters. Make decisions based on your non-negotiables. Does it align with my vision? Does it multiply my time, energy, or income? Does it serve who I'm becoming? 5. Schedule thinking time. Block 30, 60 minutes each week to zoom out, reflect, recalibrate, and recenter on what matters most. The cost of confusion is too high. Distraction isn't just inconvenient, it's expensive. It delays your goals, drains your spirit, and keeps you stuck in the cycle of almost. The rich know this. That's why they eliminate first, then execute. They're not trying to do everything. They're focused on the right things, the few things that change everything. Action steps for ruthless clarity. Eric, Write your wealth mission statement in one paragraph. Describe what you're building, why and who it serves. Read it daily. Edit. Perform a distraction audit. Make a list of every recurring task, habit, person or thought that pulls you off course. Start deleting. Create a personal decision filter. Use a 3-question system for every new opportunity. If it doesn't meet your filter, say no. Design a 90-day clarity sprint. For the next 90 days, choose one goal, one habit, and one focus area. Pour all your energy into these 3. Repeat. Less is more. Depth wins. You're not here to be average. You're here to win from within, by living in sharp, focused alignment. When your mind is clear, your power is concentrated. And when your power is concentrated, wealth is inevitable. You are built for wealth, and clarity is your new advantage. Part 7. Playing the long game. How the wealthy think in decades, not days. If you want to understand the core difference between the rich and the struggling, it's this. The poor think in days. The middle class think in months. The wealthy think in decades. The short-term mindset chases dopamine. The long-term mindset builds dynasties. The rich aren't trying to win quickly, they're trying to win forever. And they do it by playing the long game with precision, patience, and power. What does it mean to play the long game? Playing the long game means delaying gratification to multiply rewards, building assets instead of chasing income, thinking generationally, not situationally, creating systems and foundations that outlast emotion, understanding that time is your greatest lever, not urgency. The wealthy don't panic when things take time. They expect the best things to require time. They aren't moved by temporary setbacks because their plan is bigger than the moment. They plant oak trees, not grass. Most people are addicted to urgency. The average person wants results this week, quits if it gets hard for more than a month, doubts everything after a single loss, moves from project to project, never staying long enough to win, expects compounding without consistency. They live in survival mode, which makes long-term thinking feel impossible. But survival mode is a mindset, and it can be upgraded. The wealthy obsess over compounding. The rich understand the magic of compound interest, compound habits, compound habits, compound habits, compound lineages, compound reputation. They know that every day they stay consistent is like adding another layer to a fortress. They don't ask how fast can I get there. They ask, what's the most sustainable way to stay there? They win by staying in the game long enough for the game to reward them. Long game thinking in action. Here's how long-term thinkers operate. They invest in assets, not appearances. They don't buy to impress. They buy to own. Businesses, real estate, index funds, intellectual property, brand equity, reputation. They build skills before outcomes. They focus on becoming so good they can't be ignored, knowing the money always follows mastery. 3. They choose alignment over approval. They don't care if the world claps today. They'd rather walk the long, lonely road to significance. 4. They stay boring behind the scenes. The rich don't need chaos. They create repeatable, scalable systems and keep refining them for years. 5. They accept delayed gratification as a way of life. They're addicted to the process, not the prize. Why the long game always wins. In the short term, emotional decision-making feels rewarding, but in the long run, strategic consistency beats everything. The rich, they don't react. They respond, don't rush. They build, don't panic. They pivot with purpose. They measure their moves in decades, not weekends. They're not worried about going viral. They're focused on becoming undeniable. How to shift into long-term thinking. Set a 25-year vision. Who do you want to become? What do you want to build? Forget realistic, dream in decades. Audit your inputs. Remove short-term triggers. Social media addiction, clickbait content, overconsumption of opinions, quick fix marketing and business hype. Surround yourself with thinkers, builders and visionaries. 3. Choose one mastery path. Pick one area of focus for the next 3-5 years and dive deep. Learn it, own it, monetize it, master it. 4. Automate and systemize. What you repeat often, you should eventually automate. This is how the rich scale without burning out. 5. Track progress in seasons, not days. Measure results every 90 days. Don't obsess over daily fluctuations. Think like a farmer, not a gambler. Why most people never play the long game. They confuse urgency with importance. They let emotions hijack execution. They want the reward before building the reputation. They change directions too often, never staying in one lane long enough to win. They're always planting, but never watering. Always dreaming, but never sustaining. The rich play infinite games. Finite games have winners and losers. Infinite games have players who evolve. The wealthy keep learning, keep building, keep evolving, keep compounding. They're not chasing a finish line. They're becoming more dangerous with time. Their businesses outgrow them. Their money multiplies without their effort. Their name becomes their brand, and their influence becomes inevitable. Your wealth legacy starts now. The real question isn't how much can I make this month? It's what am I building that will still matter 10 years from now? Ask yourself, are you making quick moves or legacy plays? Are you creating noise or building roots? Are you trying to impress today or build for forever? Wealth isn't just earned, it's architected, and the blueprint starts with how you think. You are built for wealth, and your future will reward the seeds you plant today. Part 8. The power of strategic risk. How the wealthy use courage, not comfort, to create fortunes. The rich don't avoid risk, they calculate it. They don't fear failure, they leverage it. They don't chase safety, they chase smart exposure. This is where wealth is built, at the intersection of risk and reason. While most people live their lives trying to eliminate uncertainty, the wealthy learn how to profit from it. Most people are trained to avoid risk, from school to employment, to mainstream advice. Society programs us to believe security is the goal, taking risks is reckless, playing it safe is being smart, making mistakes is shameful. This programming creates a lifetime of hesitation, where people would rather watch others win than risk losing themselves. But the truth, there is no wealth without risk. And the wealthiest people know how to take asymmetrical risks, where the upside far outweighs the downside. The wealthy think in risk to reward ratios. Before making a move, the rich ask, what's the worst that can happen, and can I survive it? What's the best that can happen, and can I multiply it? What resources, relationships, or systems can mitigate the downside? If this fails, what will I learn or gain that still moves me forward? This is how they turn bold decisions into smart ones. They remove emotion, assess probabilities, and make courage look like strategy. 3 types of risk the wealthy use to build power. 1. Financial risk. They don't recklessly gamble. They invest where they understand the rules. Early-stage companies, real estate with cash flow potential, scalable businesses, markets where they have an edge. They never bet it all. They structure downside protection and exit strategies. Reputation risk. They're willing to stand for something, start the business, say the unpopular truth, build in public. They know playing small to please the crowd kills long-term influence. 3. Time risk. They commit years to a vision that no one else believes in yet. While others switch goals every month, the wealthy are risking years on alignment and excellence. Risk isn't reckless, it's refined. The wealthy never confuse chaos with courage. They know their numbers, run scenarios, consulted advisors, rehearse mental models, use pilot experiments before scaling up. They've replaced gambling with precision decision-making. The real danger isn't risk. The real danger is not risking enough to grow. The difference between fear and foresight. Most people confuse fear with intuition. Fear says, don't try, it might go wrong. Foresight says, here's what to prepare for if it does. The rich use fear as data, not direction. They listen to it, but they don't bow to it. Courage, to them, is a skill, not an accident. You can't create wealth in a comfort zone. Comfort loves the familiar. Wealth requires the unfamiliar, the unknown, and the uncomfortable. Comfort clings to security. Wealth embraces uncertainty with structure and confidence. If your life feels too predictable, you're not playing at the edge of your potential. Growth lives on the edge, and so does real wealth. How to start taking strategic risks today. 1. Identify one move you're afraid to make. Is it launching the business, raising your prices, investing in a mentor? Usually the scariest path is the right one. 2. Run a risk-reward assessment. Write down the worst-case scenario and how you'd handle it. Then write down the best case and what it would unlock. 3. Start small and scale fast. You don't have to go all in immediate. Test, learn, adjust, grow. 4. Build a courage circle. Surround yourself with risk takers, not comfort seekers. Let their bravery upgrade yours. 5. Track your risk muscles. Every bold move you make, even if it fails, builds your internal strength and decision-making clarity. Risk isn't just about money, it's about momentum. Wealth flows to those who take bold action with thoughtful strategy. Every calculated risk is a signal to the universe. I'm ready to receive more. The poor ask, what if I? The wealthy ask, what do I stand to gain, and how can I manage the loss? That's how empires are built, decision by decision. Over time, the wealthy take risks the average person won't. That's why they live lives others dream of, create opportunities instead of waiting for them, build freedom instead of renting security. They're not luckier, they're braver, they're not smarter, they're bold, and that boldness, backed by strategy, creates extraordinary outcomes. Final reminder, if you're not where you want to be, ask yourself, what have I been avoiding? Behind that avoidance might be the exact risk that builds your breakthrough. You were built for wealth, and that includes the courage to bet on yourself. Part 9. Thinking like a capital creator. How the wealthy multiply money by shifting mental models. Wealth isn't just built by earning more, it's built by thinking differently about money altogether. Most people are trained to be consumers of capital. The wealthy, they are creators and commanders of capital. This part is about how the rich don't just work for money, they learn how to multiply it through mental models and systems that the average person never sees. Poor versus rich. The foundational money paradigm. At the core, here's the distinction. Patriarch poor mindset. Make, spend, repeat. Middle class mindset. Make, save, consume. Wealth mindset. Make, multiply, reinvent. The wealthy have an obsession with capital preservation, capital multiplication, and capital control. They don't just ask, how can I earn more? They ask, how can this dollar bring me 10 more? They ask, how do I own the asset, not just get paid by one? They ask, how do I create cash flow that doesn't require my presence? Key wealth mental models that reshape money thinking. Money as a seed, not just a resource. The average person sees money as something to spend, protect, haft, hide. The wealthy see money as a seed to be planted. Invest in scalable systems, nurture business ventures, buy time and team leverage. Every dollar is expected to go out and return with more. Money is a multiplier of identity. They ask, does this decision align with who I'm becoming? Would the future version of me say yes to this? They don't just think, can I afford this? They think, does this expand or shrink my future capacity? 3. Assets over appearances. They're not moved by looking rich. They're focused on becoming unshakably wealthy. They're compounding over immediate gratification. Time is their ally. They value, long-term investing, patience, with high-growth plays, relationships that deepen over decades, businesses with compounding brand equity. This compounding mindset makes every move more powerful, because they're not playing a 30-day game, they're playing a 30-year game. The money operating system of the wealthy. 1. Capture, control, compound. They build infrastructure to keep what they earn. Ride, trusts, legal entities, investment vehicles, automation and oversight systems. They don't just make money, they build money machines. Leverage over labor. They ask, how can this money hire the right person, automate this task, buy equity in someone else's expertise. They replace effort with engineered systems. 3. Capital is a tool, not a trophy. Money isn't their identity. It's an amplifier. It reflects who they are and how smart their systems are, but it never defines them. Behaviors that separate the financially rich from the financially average. They check net worth, not just income. They analyze opportunity cost, not just price. They buy based on value, not trends. They invest in infrastructure, not just experiences. They diversify with intelligence, not fear. They play offense with a strong defense. They are aggressive learners, protective investors, and bold creators. How you can start thinking like a capital creator. Track your net worth weekly or monthly. What you measure, you improve. Start seeing money as a game you get better at. Build the habit of investing, not just saving. Put your money into vehicles that create cash flow, growth, equity. Even if it's small, consistency is more powerful than amount. 3. Learn the language of wealth. Study financial literacy the way you would a new career. Learn how interest works, how taxes reduce returns, how inflation eats savings, how assets outperform liabilities. 4. Shift your environment. Surround yourself with wealth builders. Join masterminds. Follow investors. Study capital allocators. You rise to the level of your financial conversation. How do I get paid for value I created years ago? How do I build once and earn forever? This shift from earning to owning is how true wealth begins. Final thought. Most people say, I wish I had more money. The wealthy say, how do I make the money I have work for me? And that's the difference. If you want to become truly rich, not just in income, but in freedom, choice and power, then you must train your mind to become a capital creator, not just a consumer, not just a saver, a builder. You were built for wealth, now start thinking like it. Part 10. The Wealth Blueprint. Living a life of freedom, power, and purpose. Becoming wealthy isn't just about dollars. It's about building a life architecture where your time is your own, your mind is sharp, your values are aligned, and your purpose drives everything. This final part brings it all together, because the rich don't just accumulate money, they design lives that are resilient, intentional, and deeply fulfilling. What true wealth looks like. Real wealth is not about looking rich. It's not about impressing others. It's about waking up with purpose, having complete control over your time, building something that lasts beyond you, living by your own standards, not society's script, knowing that you are enough, and yet always growing. The truly wealthy are not only financially independent, they're mentally and emotionally liberated. The final 3. Freedom, power, purpose. These are the pillars of wealth that the rich live by. Freedom, the core currency. Financial independence is just the start. The rich design their lives so they are free from the need to trade time for money, the emotional weight of financial stress, the fear of uncertainty. They buy time, options, and peace of mind. Wealth buys freedom, but only if it's built on discipline and design. Ask yourself daily, does this decision lead to more freedom or less? Am I building systems or creating more dependence on myself? Your decisions must align with the lifestyle you desire. 2. Power. Owning your identity and decisions. Wealth gives you choice, and with that comes power. But power isn't just influence over others. It's control over yourself. Your habits, your mindset, your emotional responses, your identity. The rich constantly invest in clarity, because clear minds make powerful decisions. They don't just seek money. They seek power over their future. That means saying no to what doesn't serve their mission, being radically responsible for their results, making decisions that align with long-term vision. When you step into your power, you stop playing small. Purpose, the fuel behind the fortune. At some point, money becomes a tool, not the mission. The wealthy begin to ask, what impact am I making? Who am I helping? What legacy will I leave behind? Purpose gives money meaning. Without purpose, you may grow rich but feel empty. With purpose, your wealth becomes fuel for transformation in your life and others. The wealth integration checklist. Here's how to bring everything together and live the wealthy life you're building. Think long-term always. Act like you're building for decades, not days. Live below your means. Invest beyond your limits. Keep your lifestyle lean and your investments aggressive, intelligently. On systems, not just hustle. Replace effort with automation, scale, and team. Ochen, protect your energy like your capital. Avoid drama, distraction, and disempowering environments. Ochen, make time non-negotiable. Guard your calendar like your cash, because time is the real currency. Ochen, upgrade your identity continually. Don't just make money. Become the kind of person who always will. Ochen, build for impact, not just income. Let your mission drive your money move. A life you don't need to escape from. The end goal isn't a private jet, a luxury car, or a mansion, although you may enjoy those. The goal is a life you wake up excited to live every single day. A life where you do meaningful work. You're surrounded by people who uplift you. You have time, energy, and financial capacity to grow and give. You don't have to wait for vacation to feel alive. That's what it means to be truly built for wealth. Closing words. If you've made it this far, you are not average. You are the kind of person who values truth over noise, strategy over hype, and vision over distraction. This audiobook was never just about getting rich. It's about becoming someone who thinks like a leader, builds like a visionary, lives like a free man or woman, and gives like someone who's already overflowing. You're not just here to make money. You're here to build something that outlasts you. So here's the final reminder. You were not born to be average. You were built for wealth. Now go live like it.